Do you feel like you're doing everything right to lose weight? You're skipping wine, choking down dry chicken, and walking laps like it's your part-time job. And yet your scale just sits there like your bitter ex who refuses to give you closure. You know he's still alive because he's watching your stories, but that man refuses to text you back, even though all you want is for him to return your comfy slippers and robe. And just like that miserable ex who's sitting around waiting for your demise, so is that sneaky scale, which makes any diet you follow frustrating, discouraging, and if you're like me, it makes you want to say screw it and dive headfirst into a Costco-sized bag of chips. But here's what I've learned. Painfully, through trial, error, plus a few emotional breakdowns in the Target dressing room. Fat loss doesn't just come down to effort. It comes down to strategy. And if your strategy sucks, then no amount of willpower, spinach, or endless cardio will fix it. So in this video, I'll show you the real reasons your fat loss might be stalling, even when it feels like you are doing everything right. And we're gonna do this with no fluff, no gimmicks, and I promise not to talk down to you like you're the problem. Because it's not you. It's that weight loss guru who told you that joy is the enemy. And by joy, of course I mean bread. Speaking of which, if you still believe the only way to drop a few is by cutting out every last carb or bust, let's talk about one of the biggest reasons most dieters stay stuck and what actually moves the needle. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You stumble upon some shiny new diet that promises fast results. And suddenly you're filled with excitement because this diet sounds like something you can do. So, this time it is going to work. So you pay for the app that explains all of the rules and promises to keep you on track. Then you throw out everything in your pantry that's forbidden and spend $237 on clean groceries you can't pronounce, you don't know how to cook, and you probably won't even like. But you're smart, so you'll figure it out. On day one, your motivation is set to max. On day two, sure, you're a little hungry, but you're still on track. By day five, you're daydreaming about pasta like it's your first love who moved away and never even bothered to write back. And we all know how that story goes. The story about the plan that you're following, which is based on willpower and not real life. And I don't know about you, but willpower has never got me through a stressful week, my kid's birthday party, or dinner out where everyone's ordering fries except me. If your plan only works when everything is perfect, that's not a plan. It's a countdown until your next binge. What you need is a strategy that you can follow on the busy days, the bad days, and the I am completely over this, pass me that huge plate of nachos days. In fact, I still remember back in my 20s when I was trying to be really good before my upcoming cruise. Because back then, I thought cruises were for singles and bikinis, not retirees and windbreakers playing shuffleboard. So I cut my calories way too low so I can impress everyone in my two-piece. And I lasted all of 6 days before ending up in the Taco Bell drive-thru ordering 2 Mexican pizzas and a Crunchwrap Supreme with a Diet Coke. And if Taco Bell wasn't enough of a spiral, my binge didn't end there. Which meant I didn't just gain the water weight I lost from cutting carbs so low back, I gained fat. I shoved everything in sight down because my body was in full-blown panic mode. And it still took me decades to learn that if your diet feels like a punishment, your body will fight back. It's not a matter of if, but when. And that's not the only huge obstacle you'll run into when you follow a diet that's not sustainable. Because when you follow these quick fix diets, most of the weight you lose isn't fat. But let's say you're just starting out on some grand plan and your scale starts moving down 2 or 3 pounds every single week. Cue the confetti, right? Well, wrong. Because it's really hard to celebrate when you notice your butt starting to resemble a pancake or worse, SpongeBob SquarePants from behind. Plus your face, it's kind of looking hollow and gaunt. Not to mention you're tired all the time and you Google things like, is hair loss normal on a diet? Every 5 minutes. But here's the truth about weight loss. When it happens too fast, or your protein is too low, or you're not doing anything to tell your body to keep its muscle, you're not just burning fat. you're breaking down a whole lot of muscle in the process. And losing muscle is a one-way ticket to living off kids' meals, but still gaining weight just because you sniffed the cookie that came with your meal. Think of muscle like your body's engine. The bigger the engine, the more fuel you burn at rest. But when you shrink the engine, the amount of calories you need to maintain your weight starts shrinking with it. So yeah, you might be lighter, but you're also burning fewer calories. You're too weak to even think about lifting a dumbbell, and you're almost guaranteed to regain the weight the second life gets messy. Which means you don't want a diet that helps you lose weight fast. You want a slow and steady plan that helps you lose fat. And trust me, these are two very different plans. An even harder truth is, if your sole focus is on the scale and you feel like you failed anytime you don't instantly drop 3 pounds in 1 week, I can guarantee that you're making this last mistake. And it is making consistent fat loss really hard. Because if you keep making this huge mistake like so many dieters do, well, this isn't the first or the last time that I'll point out that 90% of dieters regain everything they lose within just a few years. And that even includes those of you who are taking weight loss drugs. So if you're sick of working your butt off to lose weight, only for the weight to boomerang right back like you're a mama scorpion hauling 1,000 clingy baby fat cells on your back, well, that image was quite disturbing. But if I can't unsee it, neither can you. Anyway, let's talk about creepy scorpions and more about that 0.4 pound drop you had last week. You know, the one where you were so excited to step on the scale after working hard all week, but then you threw your hands up in the air because your plan clearly isn't working. Even though that seems like ridiculously slow progress, it is still progress that needs to be celebrated. Because I promise you, even those 0.4 pound drops aren't meaningless, especially when you just keep going, because drops like that can add up to some pretty serious progress. But we're so conditioned to expect fast that we forget how powerful steady actually is. Most of us think if the scale doesn't show 5 pounds lost, then nothing we did counts. So you erase the 6 days worth of effort that you just put in because one day wasn't perfect. You completely ignore the fact that you chose grilled chicken over pizza at least 3 nights this week. And you forget that you tracked your food, hit your steps, drank your water, and you go straight to, this isn't working. But here's the thing. If you keep ignoring the new habits you're building, the ones that will eventually get you to your goal, then you will always give up before they have a chance to work. Looking back at my progress while losing 50 pounds, there are plenty of months where I only lost 2 pounds for the entire month. And at first, I was so mad because I was working hard. And what's the point if I'm only losing 2 pounds a month? But after tracking my data for years and finally understanding how fat loss actually works, it turns out all of that hard work was working. The scale just hadn't gotten the memo yet. Because even though I was only down zero point 0.6 pounds in 3 months, I was also down an entire clothing size. I finally had my energy back, and there were pockets of fat missing that I never would have noticed if I wasn't also tracking with monthly progress photos. And the habits I used to make those changes, like hitting my protein target, strength training a few days each week, working up to 10,000 steps, and tracking what I eat, now those habits that I worked so hard to build are automatic. And they're the exact habits that help keep me at a healthy weight. If you're not sure which habits you need to establish so you too can lose the weight and finally keep it off, watch this video next. I'll show you 17 tiny habits I formed that seem way too simple to work, but they're exactly how I stopped starting over every single Monday and finally built a plan that sticks.